Give that a
That's not Joseph. There he is. Hey, everybody. I'm John.
And I'm Joseph.
I'm looking over here at the screen, making sure everything looks good. So today on Board Game Talk, we're talking about some great board game expansions, what makes a great board game expansion, and then several of the games that we personally love. Wait, I'm going to say that again. Personally love that we like expansions for, like all the ones that you can see on the bottom left of the screen right there. My personal favorite that I've played this past year was Heroes of Thandar. Wait, Ruins of Thandar?
Ruins of Thandar,
Hero Realms, Ruin of Thandar. And I loved that one. So, Joseph, let's go ahead and start off by telling everybody what to you makes a great expansion, and then we'll talk a little bit about the different types of expansions that you can get. But let's go ahead and start off with what makes a great expansion.
Well, in my opinion, what makes a great expansion is a game or expansions that add what's already there to the game. For example, I brought some Carcassonne expansions for this example. In Carcassonne, it's known as a tile-laying game. It's one of the pillars, gateway games that people use to get other people into the community. And the game basically has all these tiles that you draw from and you lay on the board. It starts with a starting tile, and you build the landscape as the game goes along. So the game board are these tiles, and you have features on these tiles. You may have, for example, a road or a segment of the city, or you may have a cloister, or you may just have farm fields. And you take your meeple, these wooden meeples, and place them and claim the root. And you're expanding these features out, trying to claim a completed feature, which is known. And what makes these three expansions to me so good is that they add on to that, those four elements of Carcassonne. For example, Inns and Cathedrals adds more roads, and they add these two cathedral tiles, which you can add into a city. So when you're expanding out a city, it'll give you more points, because if you complete a city and you own the city, you get about 2 points per tile, and then another point per pennant that some city segments have. And this is one of the first expansions people suggest to get. The other one over here is Traders and Builders. And what's cool about this one is they come up with these wooden pieces that's known as builders. And if you place a meeple and then place one of the builders, you can take an extra turn to lay down another tile. And they also comes out with these good tiles that if you complete a city, you're given these tiles, and if you have the most of that good, you get extra points for it. So it adds to that road building, and it gives an incentive to complete cities. Because in the base game, you don't want to give someone extra points. But if you get this tile, if you complete the city, you get all the goods in the city. So it gives you an incentive to complete it. And the last one, and this is not really considered to be a must expansion for most, but for me it is known as Abbey and Mail. And what this gives you is it gives you a mail piece that is worth as many as there are pennants in that city. So if you have 5 pennants, the mail is worth 5 meeples. So you have a monopoly on the in that city. It also comes up with these Abbey tiles, which is pretty much a wild tile. You can place it in a small gap to complete the segment if you needed to. And what also makes this expansion fun is that you have these bond that if you put it in like a farmland, it gives you get to claim the farmland, take the meeple off, and it gives you plus bonuses. So in the game, for example, you can feed what's known as, if you have a farmer that is connected to 3 completed cities, you get 3 city. The farm gives you a bonus for that. And then the last part of this expansion is you have these wagons that you get to put on the road that moves from one completed road to another. So that frees meeples up in your supply. You start with 8 meeples, and it frees the supply, and you still get to claim roads with that wagon. So for me, these are the 3 musts because they add on to the foundation of the game. You have it increases the power of roads for this one, cities, farmland, and cloisters. So to me, these are a must for Carcassonne. Nice. I know that's a lot of information.
So yeah, that's a lot at once. So then, what makes an expansion that's not necessarily one that adds a whole lot of great elements like that? What's another type of expansion that there is? Maybe that changes elements or something.
I think the one that changes elements.
Yeah, changes it.
Another one that
exchanges it rather than just adding.
Oh, exchanges. Secrets and lies are the ones that it comes to mind because in Mysterium, the game basically it's a cooperative game. It goes up from 2 to 7 players, and the idea is that you have one player who is known as the ghost, and you have 6 players who are known as investigators, like supernatural investigators, and they are performing a séance, and the ghost got murdered, like in Clue.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these 6 investigators trying to find out who murdered the ghost, and the ghost can give out these hints through these cards. These cards have artwork on them, but the catch is the ghost cannot speak to the investigators. So the investigators have to figure out what the ghost is trying to tell them through these cards. It's a very good game of of guessing. It's very good subjectively. It's really good. And as the game goes along, you go through 3 tiers. The first tier, you have to figure out who the suspect is. The second tier is the location, and the third tier is the weapon that was used to commit the murder. So you have to guess all these. You have to guess suspect, location, weapon. What this one does is, other than adding new, cards for the ghost to hand out, it adds another element, which is a story element. Onto it, it replaces the weapons. So basically, you instead of using weapons, you're using kind of a story element to it. So you're trying to guess, which, what was the story? I guess how did the murder commit? Who did it? That's how it uses to replace it. And some expansions do replace elements. Like the new Splendor expansion that just came out has basically what's known as expansion modules that you can add one to the game. You don't have to add, you can add all of them, or you can add 1 or 2 of them to the game. So some expansions do that.
What's that Splendor expansion called?
Spin expansions? Ooh, I forgot what that's the name. I can go get it for you very quickly if you want.
No, it's okay. We'll move on.
Yeah. So, but
nice. So when you're thinking you're shopping for different expansions, the 2 things you're looking for are, does it expand the overall game, like Carcassonne expansion, or does it exchange other elements, such as the Mysterium expansion? So an expansion can literally be an expansion, or it can be kind of an exchange. So you got to be careful of what it does exactly. Because with Mysterium, other expansions also just add on extra stuff to what's already in a base game. The first expansion for Mysterium actually just adds a bunch of different cards and stuff.
And the same thing with the Elder Signs, which is known as Unseen Forces, does the exact same thing. Elder Signs is a board game of Fantasy Flight that basically, Elder Signs is a game that's based on the Cthulhu mythos, but Fantasy Flight's version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Elder Signs basically takes place in a museum, and you go around solving tasks using dice. You roll dice, and you're trying to match the dice on
Yahtzee style. So you'll roll 5 and then keep 2 of them if you want, and re-roll the rest.
Exactly. You have symbols on the dice that corresponds with symbols on these tarot cards, and you're supposed to match them up. And if you match them all up within the time or in the amount of rolls you have, you solve the tasks and you get the reward.
Nice.
So what Unseen Forces did was basically add more to that. Then you have other games like Gates of Arkham, which is expansions with Gates of Arkham, which is my favorite because they already have like about 4 expansions altogether. They come out with a 5th one that's based in Egypt, and this one basically takes you out of the museum and onto the streets of Arkham. So for me, I like it because it basically takes Elder Signs and turns it into basically Arkham Hall, the dice game. So you go around and it replaces the museum tiles, and you use this one for actually, like I said, the same with Museum. And you go around, and what makes this expensive, and one of my favorite is, unlike the Museum, the base game, you have these cards that have difficulty symbols on it, or difficulty levels. So on the back of a card, you may have green, yellow, and red, and green is the easiest, yellow is medium, and red is hard. So you get to decide which of these tasks you want. And once you choose, you flip the card over, and you see what you have to take on. So I find that aspect really fun. It also kind of apps up the suspense of the game. You don't know what's going to come next, but you do have an idea of how difficult it's going to be. I like that. It also includes things like gates. Cards can be locked by gates, and you have to eliminate the gate in order to move on to the next card. So I enjoy it. The other expansions that have come out that basically takes the game and it goes into a different location. For example, one expansion takes you to someplace in Alaska, so in the frozen tundra. Another one takes you on the high seas, and then the new expansion is going to take you to Egypt. So you basically are going around the world solving, these
I'll go
tasks.
to Egypt, but I will not go to. I mean, I've been to Alaska in real life, and it was pretty cold. It was the middle of June, and it was still snow on the ground. So,
yeah,
no, no.
But, I'm
in Cincinnati right now, and it's still there's still snow on the ground since Christmas Eve. Nope.
Wow, geez, that's well, at least you had a white Christmas.
It was cold.
Somewhat. It was cold.
It was cold.
It was cold and white, hopefully. So, yeah. But then that's for me. That's Elder Signs. I enjoy Elder Signs. I enjoy the dice rolling mechanic to it. I just enjoy the anticipation of seeing what you rolled. So that was always fun. So I enjoy Elder Signs for that. Well, one reason.
But speaking of an expansion that really is almost a game in itself, Ruin of Thandar.
This right here changes Hero Realms
so much
to a whole new level. With Hero Realms, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, and we do have a Magic room, basically it's known as Magic is known as a collectible card game where you build a deck. And you do this by buying booster packs. Well, these booster packs have randomized cards. So you may buy one booster pack that has the same cards as the other booster pack you have. So you can buy all these booster packs to expand, your collection and take all the cards from it. Well, what Hero Realms is it basically is, the same theme, fantasy. It's known as a deck builder game. And what a deck builder game is basically you are given, a starting hand of money and weapons, and you take these cards and you get to buy more powerful cards that's laid out in a tableau in front of you. You have the game deck here and 5 cards out, and you buy these cards. Well, all the cards you need is in that starting deck. So you can buy expansions, but it's optional. Well, and then you take that and you use that to defeat your opponent. Each player starts with 50 health, and you knock that health down to 0. You win the game. Just like Magic, it's a one-on-one game. Well, what Hero Realms did was they came out with these character packs where you can do the same thing, but with characters that come out with the specific cards. Well, what Right Wizard Games decided to do was they decided to give you a I'm sorry. Oh.
They decided to do it brilliantly. It was smart.
Oh, yeah. They decided to give you basically a cooperative campaign deck where you face these enemies and these bosses. So if anybody's ever heard of a game called, a deck builder game called what is that? A Thunderstone. Thunderstone is a deck builder, and you get to collect a card, and you go into a dungeon trying to fight and defeat monsters. But it's kind of a one-on-one game. So each player gets to go into the dungeon, and they get the spoils, and whoever finds the Thunderstone first wins the game. Well, this game basically is a cooperative game, and it's really fun. Me and John and my brother and a couple of friends played it. And I love it because it keeps on sending monsters your way, and you have to defeat the monsters with what you have in your deck. So they took that one-on-one combat element and basically sat there and gave you all these AI opponents to face, and it was really, really good. And what's also cool is they basically gave you chapters of a story. You're going through a story, and you have chapters, and it's basically a short little novel you get to engage in. It's really fun, and I really heavily suggested if you want to have you want to have a cooperative game that's quick, that's simple, and still like that combat element. But
it's the first in a series of campaigns, I believe, that they're making. They're continuing it on with other ones, but it was really, really fun. We started off, I think, facing in a bar fight, and eventually got on to some sort of demon or something.
Yes.
And then how we fought in the previous battle determined which of the demons we fought, which was really cool to me, because you could I don't know if you could decide how you fight off. Well, I guess basically you have 4 colors in the game. You have red, yellow, green, and blue. Blue? Yeah.
Yes, blue.
And so you choose which colors that you build your deck based on, and they have different strengths. So green is a bunch of healers because it's nature. Red is very aggressive and damage oriented. Yellow tends to
well, yellow usually red usually helps you scrap your hand. You can get rid of the less power cards and keep the powerful cards. Blue is the one that has coin. It's the one that helps you get more coin. And then the green is supposed to, this is Star Realms, helps you draw more cards and force your opponent to lose cards.
I
So
think it's similar enough in Hero Realms. But anyway, so we're fighting these other battles, and we're like, okay, you know, the game has a mechanism for making it more difficult or easier. They designed the default setting to be pretty difficult, and we were pretty fine up until the point where we had to face the final boss.
Oh, a boss.
We didn't stand a chance in that final boss.
No. I mean, the boss basically it drew cards from the main deck, and it took those cards, and the cost of those cards became the strength of its armor, and it kept on just growing armor, and like
I think one of us did like 40 something damage in one go, and it only got through like parts of its armor. I was so ticked off.
I know. I think a lot of people. And at first, my older brother was like, "Oh, this has become too easy," but wasn't quite sure. And then we faced that opponent, and the game's like, "Oh, no."
I told him, I said, "Don't get cocky, because the moment you do, it's going to beat you down." You know, I don't think that the game designers would have made it really, really easy to play through. It's actually meant to where you could play through it multiple attempts. So, like, if you lose at a certain level, it tells you where to go back and play again to try to. The one thing I'm not sure that we did, though, was I don't know if we were supposed to reset our hands and what we had in our personal decks.
Yeah, I don't know. If you get to keep what you bought and carry it over, that I don't know. It makes sense. It makes sense. It would, because it is a campaign.
I know for the fact that in between the second and the last battles, we should have kept it. But if you're looking for a great deck builder that you can take with to your friends, right? It's easy, it fits in your pocket, and then the expansion is a separate one that also fits in your pocket. Then buy Hero Realms, get Ruin of Thandar. It is a blast. I'm definitely, next time I'm back in Atlanta, we're gonna play again. We'll probably be doing a live stream on it while playing it next time I'm there, because it really is that much fun. And don't forget that the gameplay interactions work really well. So, for instance, you know, you can heal someone that's right next to you on either side, but you can't heal someone that's like two away from you. Very interesting, like, mechanics and stuff. There's like certain effects that in this campaign they affect the entire play area. When, you know, they say play area, they mean like what's right in front of you is considered a play area, and then what's right in front of Joseph might be his play area. And so you have certain effects that affect all play areas, just yours, etc. I really liked it. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're looking for a card game, especially if you like card games, or if you don't necessarily want to get into a collectible card game, which if you do, go to Giga-Bites Cafe to the CCG side and the TCG side and make that happen, because it's awesome.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. Also, one more thing. When you buy this, make sure you buy the character packs. You have a fighter, a thief, a cleric, a ranger, and a wizard. Make sure you buy those packs too, because not only does it add the thematical aspect to it, it also, these characters come with, you know, special starting hands themselves that specifically, you know, adds to that theatrical aspect to it too. And also, this game also comes with cards that you can replace, and it is compatible with those character packs. Actually, it strongly recommends it, simply because of that, like I said, theatrical aspect to it. So,
So yeah, that is what makes a great expansion. If it adds gameplay elements that really make it, like, adds another dimension to it, that's an excellent expansion pack. A good expansion pack is anything that makes you have more fun with the game. If any game is getting a little bit stale, you're looking for expansions that don't just add extra stuff, like, I don't know, like we said with Mysterium, it just adds extra cards that you can look at, which is nice, nothing wrong with it. But the ones that really add the gameplay elements, those are the ones you're looking for. Those Carcassonne ones are huge. What are a couple more other ones before we head out?
Before I head out, the last two I have are for the classic game Catan, which is also known as a gateway game. And my favorite personal expansion is Catan Cities and Nights, because it basically just adds more. It gives you more things to build, more things to do, more things to research, and it gives you actually city upgrades you can use to get you more cards. And I enjoy it. It also has like barbarians that come and attacking you, so you have that you have to look after for. So I personally enjoy it. And the other one I enjoy is the Catan Seafarers. And what this game does is it adds ships, and it expands the board where you get to go out to different islands. For me, a must expansion as well is that in the base game, they didn't have that much things to do when it comes to buying sheep, and so you keep on getting all these sheep and really nothing to do with them except for maybe trade them in for more resources. So with the Catan Seafarers, you get to build ships, and a ship costs 1 wool and 1 wood. So you have something to build with that. So if that aspect is kind of annoying, this aspect not only fixes that but adds just more of an exploration aspect. It also comes with some scenario packs. Now, of course, this one right here, these two, this Cities and Knights 5th and 6th expansions, play expansion. So this is not the actual box size of it. What's so funny?
I can't. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just lost it.
That is an annoying thing that people have. But it's also really good because it also adds scenarios. We also have another Catan expansion that's like the Legendary Pirates expansion that adds that kind of campaign scenario. So that's fun too. So
you just said that you get a bunch of sheep and then you don't have anything to do with them and you're like awkward pause.
Yeah, you don't.
I know.
I probably said something that suggested something else that I didn't know.
It's what you did say. It's fine. But
okay, yeah. Oh, but wool. You get wool, okay?
I'm sorry. Wool. That's what we get from sheep. Nothing else. Good.
You get wool, then you can't use anything. So.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Joseph. So, pop by Giga-Bites Cafe. So you can see the wall behind Joe in the background there. That's all the different board games. We also have another table with board games on them. So we got plenty of selections not from the Georgia area.
Yes.
Just plan on a visit next time you're in Atlanta, and there's a lot of reasons to come to Atlanta. Giga-Bites Cafe is one of them because it's a huge store. We have all kinds of stuff going on all the time. Do we have a War Machine going on right behind you?
Yes, I do believe that's. Yes, we do have War Machine coming on.
It's just a Monday afternoon playing War Machine, having a good time. We got a whole bunch of events coming up, but I'm going to do a separate stream on that because we have a lot to cover. But for this stream, we are done. Thank you, Joseph. I am John Caspian.
And I'm Joseph Collins.
And we will see y'all next time. Have a great day, and bye.